What is up, my ninjas? I'm Strident, and today we're going to be talking about what I consider the last great toy line. And by great toy line, I mean it runs the gamut as far as imagination goes, as far as types of situations and lines and series and styles of characters, vehicles, etc., etc. Yes, it is aimed at younger kids, but the fact that there's so much variety within this line just amazes me. And of course, we're talking about Imaginext. Now, my baby boy, Lil Strident, exclusively collects Imaginext because whatever it is he's looking for, they offer it in this line. They're more aimed towards, I want to say, 3-year-olds maybe, just younger demographic as far as the style of the figures. But when you actually look at the figures, you can tell that collectors and fans made these figures and aimed them at people who just enjoy figures. You know, the parents will see the figure and be like, oh my god, that's something from when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Oh my god, that's Tommy. So they get it for their kid and introduce their kids to all the, geekdom that we grew up with. And that's exactly what happened. My son picked out Imaginext figures when he was 4 months old. We're going through Target. He's looking at stuff. He laughs. He, kind of looks at something and touches it. But he picked up one Imaginext figure, well, a pack, and wouldn't let it go. And he did it multiple times, and I was like, he's trying to tell me something, so I'm going to stick with this. So that was when I bought his first one, and I will get to that later on in the video to let you know which one it is. But the formula to these figures is amazing. So we're going to start with what you're looking at now. I'm a big Sentai person, and they have Power Rangers. I mean, I couldn't believe it when I saw a 3-pack of putties, and it was for under 10 bucks. I'm saying to myself, wow, why don't other companies do this? A big thing about Imaginext that I really love, and I think that most parents that do collect these for their kids, the thing that you would like the most, or a thing that would be a good selling point, is affordability. A lot of times you get 2 and 3 figures in a pack, and the packs don't sell for outrageous prices despite whatever license, they might be using. Recently, they got into Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and as you can see, we've got Rita, we've got the Green Ranger, although he didn't come with the shield yet. I think that comes with another, play set. But we've got a bunch of putties, we've got Rita, we also have Goldar. Now, Goldar, this is a marvel because what they did here is they gave us a really cool, really accurate representation of the figure, or of the character from the show, in figure form, and they made him giant. Now they also are going to be releasing a smaller figure, like a standard size figure, but you see there's no difference in detail. Same amount of detail, metallic paint jobs, small details, and these are tiny mini figures, they're under 3 3/4 inches. But this one is a scaled up giant version of Goldar, which is awesome, because even when we used to collect the regular Rangers, the standard Bandai Power Rangers line, a lot of the monsters didn't get represented in giant form. And sometimes when they did, they were really cheesy, or you had to get like a vinyl. It just wasn't consistent. Whereas this, it's big enough to fight the Zords on their own, and yes, they did make Zords. And it's big enough to, recreate what you see on television. Like, my son loves Kamen Rider, Ultraman, Super Sentai. He loves all that stuff. Godzilla. Just like me when I was little, because he watches that stuff with me. So now having a full-size Goldar to stomp on his Power Rangers and stuff, and, have them get in their mech and fight him, it's like, or their Megazord, I'm sorry. I don't know, it sparks that little bit of imagination that's needed to get your kids started, you know what I'm saying? To get your little geek started, This is crazy too, look at the size of him. This is how big he is compared to the 5-inch Legacy movie figures. Here he is next to a DCUC. So just to give you an idea, the Imaginext figures in general are about 3 inches tall Oh, I'm sorry, they're less than 3 inches. They're about 2.5 inches tall. Look at that. There he is, standing over a cube of red. I mean, that is an awesome size, and guess how much it cost? $20. So, you know, on top of this being a very well done rendition of the character, despite this being a very popular license, look at the quality of the figure, the size of the figure, and then look at the price. But then you move over to the quote-unquote adult collector stuff, and then they just completely take advantage. So here we have all the Rangers, and the Rangers are sold in 2 packs. The Green Ranger comes with the Pink Ranger, so a lot of times the 2 of them are hard to find. They haven't been as hard to find as of late, but I mean, they gave them all their weapons. Granted, Billies don't combine to be a staff like they are in the show most of the time, but still. But the weapons do combine to form their blaster. Now that's crazy because, you know, you're looking at them and you think, oh, these tiny little figures, they don't have any articulation and whatever. And it's like, look at what they can do. You had to get separate weapons from the SH Figuarts versions to do that. And these are just the standard ones for the Imaginext. It's crazy. And then look at the difference in the 2 females. In the show, Kimberly had the skirt and Trini didn't. Also, look at the costumes. Instead of them wearing tights and they just cop out like so many of the figures we got for, you know, adult collectors, they have on armor like the movie. I mean, this is crazy when you think of the fact that this was actually aimed towards kids that won't even notice these details until they're a little bit older. This is how you know that it doubles. It's a line aimed at kids, but that will also grab the attention of adult collectors as well. I mean, the detail on these guys is crazy for something so small. And I think the 2 packs were about $8, $7 or $8, something like that. So you're not breaking the bank at all. And yeah, they don't have crazy posability, but they're durable as heck. So your kid can play with them as hard as they want to for the most part, and the figures will stand up. That's what you want in a line. And if they're not very hard to find. Most places restock pretty often. And I keep on harping on it. The skirt. It's just like, wow, they actually are paying attention to detail. It's dope. It's so dope. All those little armored details, you know. I just I was tripped out, and because I was tripped out, I had to get these and share them with my son. And my son, who only recently started watching Power Rangers, like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He's seen Zeo-Ranger beforehand, but now he's getting to see Mighty Morphin. He remembers, you know, the American names. Look at that power sword. This kid freaks out when he can't find the power sword. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. And Tommy's Dragon Dagger. Look at all that detail. Yeah, some of it is sculpted, most of it is painted, but it's there. You know what I mean? That's a lot of detail. And it's something so small. I mean, even the little buttons on the, or keys or whatever on his, the ocarina portion of the, you know, or flute portion of the sword, dagger. It's detail. It's crazy detail. Look at their gloves. The Rangers are sporting those Nomex gloves. It's just dope, you know, when you think about the fact that this is something that these tiny guys, these tiny figures have detail that figures much larger and much more expensive do not have. It's quality. And this is the tip of the iceberg, folks. This is why I had to do a video about this stuff. So the Megazord, it's a playset. And it comes with the shields for the Green Ranger as well. This thing is huge. It's like 3 or 4 feet tall. It's bigger than my son, or taller than my son, or as tall as he is. Then they're also coming out with a White Ranger set, which I will be getting because I'm a Die Ranger fan, and I think it's just awesome that they're doing this. But yeah, Power Rangers is nuts, man. The fact that they actually tapped into this, it's amazing, because Bandai makes it, not Mattel. They also have blind bag figures. I kind of feel like I'm some kind of demo person or whatever for them, and I'm not getting paid, but you know, whatever. These are awesome figures. So like, say you're not really into a specific line and you just like randomness, the blind bag figures are perfect because they hit everything. Now this isn't one whole wave. I'm sure we have a couple waves. I'm pretty sure actually we do have several waves, but just look at the variety here. You've got this throwback to Jason Voorhees slash, you know, a zombie from, I don't know, Dawn of the Dead, but in cutesy Imaginext form. You know, normally I'm against this kind of thing because the kids can't watch what this guy comes from, but you know, it's Halloween time, and you know, to kind of ease my kid into knowing what a zombie is, here's an example. The details on this guy, it's pretty cool because he doesn't have blood all over the place, but if he did, you would immediately know. But from the color of his pants, his shirt, the fact that the one leg is all tore up, and you know, his his side is all tore up, it's a Dawn of the Dead throwback, which is pretty dope. And we've all of us, especially with the advent of The Walking Dead as a television show, we've all seen a million throwbacks to Dawn of the Dead. In the background, in the foreground, whatever. This was Flyboy, I think is what they called him. But just look at the sculpt. They took the Imaginext aesthetic and then they introduced the whole zombie thing into it. And it works perfectly. I can't really complain about anything on that. And this is one thing you're going to see throughout this overview, is that I can't really complain about anything. This was the Mad Scientist. He's got this steampunk aesthetic to him. I got him, and my wife picked him up actually, and I was like, yep, keeping him. And realistically, I'm just going to keep him for a little while and give it to my son. But look at all the little details on it. And he even looks more serious than some of the other figures. But look at the gloves, the boots, the gas mask, and the canister on the back. The little things holding the canister on. I mean, it's just detail. Granted, they don't go all out painting every detail, but they do paint very small details considering that these figures are small figures. His expression, he just looks kind of like, kind of crazy. This is all kind of like, I shouldn't even say kind of, it's very unprecedented for something so small. There's Joes that don't have this much detail on them. And these are for essentially preschoolers. So there are aspects of what you know, different toy lines do well that kind of help negate a lot of the conjecture amongst the various collectors out there. You know, people want to complain and say, oh, it's so expensive to do new molds. Oh my God, it's so hard to do blah, blah, blah. It's this, whatever. They're doing it, and they're not charging you an arm and a leg. It's because of the particular demographic that they're aimed at. Supposedly kids don't play with toys, yet there's billions of these guys out there. This alien figure, my wife and son got this guy amongst others for me for Father's Day last year. And I was tripped out at just the weird, almost Dr. Bad vibes from Cops kind of feel to this guy's head. Because I'm like, wow, he's got this fishbowl on his head, and there's nothing in there, but then there's like a pink part floating above the, you know, the top. It's just kind of weird, but it's a cool aesthetic. It looks cool. You can use him as a villain for some of your other stuff, you know. It's just, here is space. So far we've done zombies, steampunk, and then just outer space craziness. And now here we go with just pure Halloween craziness. We've got a Wicked Witch with a broom to fly on. And you look at the pimples on her nose and on her chin, her hair, everything is well painted, no slop. It's crazy, you know, look how small they are. And then if you take the top piece off, the hat and the face, you end up with a prettier witch underneath. But look at her nails. Little details just to let you know this is not the same figure you bought last time. We tweaked it. It's stuff I want to see with the collector figures. And here are a whole bunch of other ones. And one thing that sets these blind bags apart from other figures is, well, these Imaginext, is there are Easter eggs and like tips of the hat to other franchises within these, you know, characters. Like this right here looks like just a generic soldier at first glance, but if you think about it and you know, you look at his gear, that gun actually comes from another figure, but You look at his gear, it becomes obvious that he's from something very specific. This guy, I was tripped out by this guy. Number one, if you just look at the color of the suit, it's a hazmat suit. But you can take off the mask and the chest piece is all one piece, and then it reveals that it's none other than Breaking Bad's Walter White. What the fuck? In Imaginext? It's nuts. I was like, wait, Walter White? Like, they really did this in Imaginext? That's nuts. Not that most kids are going to know who that is. Not that I'm even going to explain that to my kid. But it is a thing, you know what I'm saying? And I love the fact that they did that. It's funny. So like, here's another bad guy for Batman to go after or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, or anything. The Soldier. It's Jeremy Renner's character from The Hurt Locker. He even comes with a bomb disposal drone or robot. I was like, what? Like, after a while I was looking at him and I'm thinking, and I'm like, I've seen that gear before, and I've seen it. Holy crap, Hurt Locker. It's nuts. The freaking basketball player in the background, he got game. It's the GOAT. There's so many different throwbacks in there. You know, I don't know who this guy is. This was one of the other ones that they got me for Father's Day. We just use him as another ordinary guy, construction worker type. And there's lots of those too. Son's got truck drivers, garbage men, just construction workers, all kinds of stuff. So, you know, building up his little Imaginext city, we've got all kinds of people, you know, regular people. And, you know, I'm going to get into why the regular people are even important as we go further. Here's his police force. He kind of mimicked the cops team that I have with his police force by making, he calls this the brown guy in the front, Chuck Danger. He mimics cops with them. Here are your astronauts. Yes, they do go into space. There's a lot of cool space stuff. When I get into the vehicles, which will probably be another video, I got some vehicles for you to see. But look at the variety amongst them, and some of them are the same figure, just with different expressions. But you can mix and match. In the back, he's got 2 Dino Rider figures, which they did kind of bring Dino Riders into the fold, because I'm pretty sure when was it Mattel? When Mattel when Kenner disappeared, or no, that was Hasbro that took Kenner. I forgot who made Dino Riders, so let me not even go into that. But it's a throwback, and somehow I guess because they're doing it under the auspice of Imaginext and they're not actually calling them Dino Riders, they can get away with it, because I mean that was a long time ago. Evil aliens. These are the evil aliens that he uses all the time for the freaking Justice League to fight. I mean, the fact that they even can do this just blows my mind. And there are characters that he has that I'm like, man, I don't even have him. Like Red Tornado, I missed out on him way back in the beginning. And I haven't seen a suitable Plastic Man outside of the one from SDCC a couple years back. But I mean, look at these guys. Superman's wearing his Man of Steel variant costume, and they've done every version of Superman. Batman's wearing his old school costume, the black and gray with the new school, the Keaton era symbol. And then Cyborg, look at all that detail. There's DC collectible Cyborgs that don't have that much detail. And this is a tiny little figure, you know what I mean? It's just, it blows my mind. You know, as we were collecting these guys, and we had to get all these guys in 2 packs for the most part, they all came together with someone. I was just looking and I'm like, wow. The last ones we got were Jean and Plastic Man. They came together. Look at that version of freaking Martian Manhunter. That's awesome. The fact that they even did a throwback to the movie with this version of the Green Lantern, freaking awesome. Yeah, the movie sucked, but doesn't mean you can't enjoy the design on some level. It makes them stand out. They're phenomenal figures. And then Superman. So they've made a lot of Superman villains. These are the ones that I've been able to find from my son, and then 2 of them are figures that he just turned into bad guys to fight Superman. So you can see in the back we've got a huge Lex Luthor battle suit with Lex in it. We've got Brainiac, Darkseid, a giant or evil alien, and big old astronaut thing with a gun. I'm going to get into who those people are in a little bit. The Darkseid. This is the new 52 version of Darkseid. Look at all the detail. Kind of blows the Batman Unlimited or DC Unlimited or All-Star, whatever it was called, version out of the water as far as the design elements. Look at all the textures. Brainiac. Animated series style Brainiac. How come we haven't gotten that in like DC UC form? Instead we got the superpowers one that most kids, most modern collectors don't even remember. Lex Luthor. Super Friends variant, you know, 80s Lex Luthor with a battle suit, but the design work is what sets this thing apart. It doesn't look cheesy, you know, color-wise it does. This is just a random evil space alien. I forgot what we called them. The Gordanians, that's what we called them. The guys that were fighting the Thanagarians in JLU and various Hawk World comics and stuff. Now this guy, this is a space monkey. He's a giant space ape. You can see his gun is kind of resembling a banana. It almost looks like it could fold up and become a banana. But when you take that thing off, you can see he is a big-ass gorilla. We call him Titano, kind of because he's read comics where, you know, Superman was fighting Titano, big cybernetic gorilla. This here coming up is the first Imaginext pack I got for Little Strident, and it's Wonder Woman and her invisible plane. Now the cool thing about this was they didn't do the usual where they say because she's a girl, boys won't play with her, so we're not going to bother making her. I mean, and then even more obscure, they made the freaking invisible jet or whatever. Like, they didn't, in the past, they would shy away from this, but they didn't shy away from it because they know guys, little boys, little girls play with action figures. And if they're going to play with them, there are representations of everybody, so you may as well use them. And I love that. Now, he didn't get to really play with him until later, or her till later, but he loves this thing. And Superman, there's more villains. As you can probably tell by just the colors, that is Superman's crazy-ass opposite. And it's pretty awesome that, like I said, they went into this. I mean, there's Zod and there's other characters too. These are just the ones that we've gotten thus far. Because he likes to dip around and get a little bit of everything. So I try to keep his imagination going by running the gamut when it comes to all these figures, as opposed to just saying, okay, for this year, we're only going to do knights. And for this year, we're only going to do superheroes. You know, I'm like, no, if you want a little bit of everything, as long as you behave, we'll get you a little bit of everything. The Flash, with the Flash just starting back up, there's a Flash's Rogues Gallery. Damn, I feel kind of foolish because we have Green Arrow, and I couldn't find him when I was making this video. But this is his makeshift trickster. He actually was one of the blind bag figures, but we figured, you know, he's a clown with a different look than the Joker, so let's just use him as the trickster. So he one day told me that was the trickster, so that's the trickster. Captain Cold. Couldn't find his freeze gun, so we used the same gun from the soldier was holding. But they made a Captain Cold figure, which is nuts. Most kids have no idea who Captain Cold is, and that's the new 52 design. This guy is one of the Dino Riders, but we use him as Mirror Master because I don't think they made a Mirror Master. A lot of lines, when they include the Flash, they didn't make Mirror Master, and I don't get that. And then in the back, the big guy, Gorilla Grodd. I couldn't believe they made Gorilla Grodd. That had me tripped out, and he was in a 5-pack with a bunch of other figures. That's why we have doubles of a lot of these characters. It's a phenomenal figure. Look at all the detailing, you know? And it's kind of a retro look to him. And then the Flash, we have both versions, New 52 and, well, I guess he technically is modern because it's New 52, and then we have the old school Flash. So we pretend the New 52 is Barry and the old school one is Wally. Superman. Notice the different shades in the costume. And we have like 2 more that are, one is darker, way darker, and one is way brighter. And the expressions, even the skin tones are a little bit different to facilitate the colors of the suit, but I mean, look at him. And now I will say that Superman in the front is the first Superman with slop. It's the first figure with slop that we have. And I don't know if it's that he played with him really hard or if it just was completely mispainted. And it looks like it was just mispainted because that's just missing red paint. But I mean, we have so many of them, and it's just crazy. There's also that little red splotch in his S curl. But you see the expressions are different. And then Batman, of course. We can't do this and not go into Batman. These are just the 4 that were closest to me. We have about 4 or 5 more, because every vehicle comes with a Batman figure. Something that is unheard of these days with collector's figures. Robin. Several Robins. Pretend that those are all 3 of them. You got Dick, Jason, and Tim. Jason we have is the middle one. Even though we probably should make him be the that should be Dick. But just variety. And that figure, you can tell, was played with a lot. I think that was the Babysitter's Kids version, and Nico left his version at their house, but whatever. Bruce Wayne. Now this, we got a lot of, we went to a garage sale a while back, and someone was selling a whole bunch of Imaginext and Play School superheroes, and this was in there. That was actually a quick change Batman. We didn't have the quick change part. Villains for Batman. Tons of them, but these are the ones that I said, they were closest, and I think actually these are the majority of the Batman villains that he wanted. So somewhere we have Croc and we have Ivy and Scarecrow, but I mean, Joker and Harley, we don't even need an introduction. You know who these guys are, and they're represented in Imaginext. Now, I have said before when I was talking to some of my homies that I hate when they represent characters that are like psychopaths and whatnot, that are super crazy in like chibi form, because it just misrepresents them. And then the day that they come across that comic where they see them doing whatever craziness that they do, it's going to be kind of weird. But here I kind of don't mind, because there's versions of Batman on television that don't necessarily play along with the original continuity. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they get away with it here. And plus, they're just so well done. I mean, look at Mr. Freeze. The fact that you can't see his mouth, that's actually really awesome. It helps add to the, I don't know, just the menace. Those eyes. Riddler looking all pimp, because that's all he's good for. I hate the Riddler. I think he's the lamest of the Batman villains. One time, Batman needs to get his hands on him. One time, it's done. His career is over. Bane. I do have a gripe with this Bane figure, is that he should be bigger. There should be like a small one and then a large one, or a larger one. But, he does the job. And Little Strider knows that he is a very strong opponent. Penguin, we've got a bunch of Penguin figures, because a bunch of different things have come with Penguin figures, and there's one of his penguins that can roll on his belly. You can see he's been played with. And Catwoman. The most undersexed version of Catwoman ever. And it works, because I don't need my kid asking me, why are her boobs hanging out? You know what I mean? Like, they're not hanging out. That question won't come up with his toys. And then, here's more. One of these is a blind bag figure. The other 2 came as is. And they use them. He uses them as goons. The guy on the bike has a briefcase with money sticking out of it. He obviously is a goon, and he stole that money. So here's some goons to be running around your Imaginext Gotham City, to be getting their behinds throttled by Batman and the Bat family. So it's kind of cool that they offer all this, and if you find it, you can build it up, because world building is important if you want your kid to be creative. Especially when it comes to playing. The whole point of all this is for your kid to use their imagination, tap into that part, that the creative piece of their brain that allows them to just come up with things on the fly, so that they can occupy themselves, entertain themselves, without you always having to entertain them, without some kind of media in front of them. They have the thing right here, their little sculptures, little works of art, if you will, and they're occupying themselves with them. And that's why I like them. This is why I like action figures to begin with. and I'm teaching this to my son, and he can see and appreciate all these little things. This is what helps him appreciate it too. So I think it's awesome how much variety you have in this line. Now, I did show you guys a couple vehicles, like the Power Rangers vehicles and the Invisible Jet. I only showed you the Invisible Jet because it came with Wonder Woman, and it was kind of relevant to the situation, and this bike came with the guy. But I'm going to do another video in which I go over a lot of the vehicles that we have, and we have a gang of vehicles. Good God. The one guy with the swoosh over his eye is a pirate figure. We just double him as a thug. Now there's the Adventure series. I love this area. Pirates. If you like pirates and stuff, here you go. We have, I think, 2 more pirates, but they were put away, so I didn't bother bringing them out. The guy in the front with the handlebar mustache, that's mine. I love that dude. Knights. I have a bunch of these. A lot of these are mine. So the Knights are cool because of the variety of designs, armor styles, sword styles, shield style. It's just so awesome that they took all this into account. Now the Queen was a blind bag figure. She was probably the last one that we got. And I was looking for her because I was like, she's going to go with the Eagle King. Eagle King has a castle that goes, you know, it's an eagle castle, eagle-themed castle that we're working on getting. This is, what's his name? Roman, the Centurion. I think that's a funny name, but it's awesome that they did this. Look at all the detail. This here is the Weapons Master. That was, I want to say, the first or the second Imaginext figure I got for myself, because he came with this weapons rack that just had a ton of different halberds and staffs and swords and shields and maces and all kinds of stuff. And then there are the themed knights. There are knights that fit different animal classes. There's bug knights, there's you know, flying bird knights, dragons, you know, lions, whatever, you know. The wizard tower comes with a wizard. It's pretty awesome. And there's another wizard too that comes with another interactive tower. And I think he's blue and he has a different design on him and everything. He's younger. Maybe you like African stuff. This tripped me out because I was surprised to see some kind of Zulu-ish, you know, African character in this fantasy universe. You never see that in other lines. It's not like they don't exist. So, you know, everybody is getting their day, and he comes with 2 masks. If you like the big old, you know, war mask, you can do that, or he has a tiger mask that's connected to a spinning bolo thing. So you kind of have a lot of variety when it comes to your characters. Now these are all mine for all my ninjas out there. At first I was kind of like, man, it'd be dope to, you know, mix and match the different people underneath, but, you know, whatever. But you've got this whole feudal Japan-ish, you know, universe with ninjas and samurai and whatnot, and the proper weapons are all there, the designs are all there, you've got your horses and stuff, and I have a couple more, you know, things, but it's just cool that they did this, you know. It's cool that this was offered, you know. I always say that, you know, people say that, you know, they didn't have to do this. And I'm like, yeah, they're a toy company. If a toy company wants to make money, then they do have to give you different things. Fisher-Price didn't slack. I don't know why my brain is moving so slow, but they didn't slack. They gave you everything you could want from every different time period, and they gave you throwbacks to a lot of different things so that you can relive different, you know, versions of different fantasy worlds and, you know, different periods, whatever. Maybe you're into Lord of the Rings. Here we go into that territory with these woodland elves and their crazy, you know, mastery over, you know, woodland elements, and they're making their battle armor out of, you know, trees and vines and stone and all. It's like, what? They actually sat down and thought about it. Like, what would battle armor, what would an exosuit look like in Middle Earth? There you go. And it's just, it boggles my mind that they're able to come up with such drastically different things all in the same realm, you know. My son loves this guy. He anytime we start playing with the knights, he brings this guy out. It's an awesome figure. He looks good. His colors are nice variety of colors. It's just a well done figure, and we need more of this, you know? Bad guys. We have a gang of these. And these are like these little, I should have taken his helmet off for the video, but I'll leave that for you guys to see when you purchase yours. But they're these reptilian thug-like knights. And I don't know, I like them. Now here's what the Eagle Knight or Eagle King came with. It's this carriage. I put the queen in there, and then he can ride on the back because he's more of a warrior king, you know. But look at the coloring on these things. Even the fact that the doors work, the fact that it fits the one person in there. I mean, it would have been nice if it fit two, because then you could have both of them in there, but still, like I said, warrior king protects his queen. Not that she can't protect herself, but, you know, the details are nice. If you want to go in and you want to paint stuff, you have the option. I don't feel the need to, because I feel like there's enough variety in color on a lot of this stuff, you know. But, you know, paint jobs would make things look a little more paint would make it look real, but I don't need it to look real. So, anyway, power pads. A lot of vehicles, this is the thing that activates the features on there. And you turn it, it makes a noise. The wings that we're pointing back face forward and cover the windows. And the on the top, there's a launcher, and the launcher pops forward. And if you turn the power pad just a little bit more, it'll fire. There's storage on the sides, right up there on the very top, for either extra missile or, you know, arrows, or your King's sword and shield. Now this is my favorite of all of the Imaginext, period. King Leonidas. A long time ago I told you guys I would do a video about him, and here he is. Now we pretend Leonidas is this ridiculously, you know, fabled, legendary hero who saved countless kingdoms, you know, on his own, and by his armor he looks like he's a hero of the ages, like he's been around for a long time and he's just that damn good. I just saw this and was like, I have to have this. I don't even know what I'm going to do with it, but I have to have this. So for a long time, he's just sitting around in my studio in different places, flying, you know, standing up in this place, you know, up in this corner, in this place. And I just was like, man, this design is just badass. I mean, look at that. For these little, like, miniature hobbitish people, you know? It's just such a well done figure. I mean, look at the paint job. And there are scratches and stuff because I play with them. So that's not slop. That's, you know, battle damage, or, you know, being worn because I make him fight stuff all the time when I'm bored. When I'm in between drawing and I need to rest my fingers from holding the pen, you know, my light pen or whatever for my stylus, I pick these guys up and start goofing off, along with other cool figures that I have. But look at the wings, man. The feather detail, the wing span itself is really nice. The way the wings fold up is cool too, because it looks like old coat of arms, that kind of medieval art. I love it. And it's all details that might be missed by a younger, you know, collector or younger, you know, kid, because they don't need to know and pay attention to all the details. They just need basic surface stuff to catch their attention, and they'll know that they think this figure is more awesome looking than that figure, so this becomes their favorite. You know what I'm saying? This guy stands out, so this is my favorite. That's how it worked for me. Alley Viper was my favorite G.I. Joe of all time when I was a little kid, right after Storm Shadow, all because he stood out, you know? And this guy stands out. Speaking of standing out, though, is the guy who we chose to be his rival. I was like, this is kind of creepy, but it's awesome. And it's the Skull Knight. That's awesome. The horse is emaciated, you know, it's like they're on fire. You could imagine them like light flames coming off of them. But I mean, that's pretty dope. Like, that is not your average, you know, bad guy for a kid's line. And that's what I like about this line, is that It's got hardcore elements presented in a kiddie kind of way so that it doesn't freak out the average kid. You know, my 2-year-old looks at this stuff and he sees bad guy, good guy, and he just makes them fight. He doesn't get creeped out. He's not crying. He's not afraid of any of this stuff. It all adds to what's cool, what's not cool, what, you know, catches his attention, what doesn't catch his attention. It all adds to the experience. And this is some good stuff. I mean, look at it. It's nuts. I was impressed, so I had to order this guy off eBay. I think there's probably a handful of figures in here, if that I ordered off eBay. The majority of these guys I found in the store, if not all of them, we found in the store. This guy I saw in the store when I wasn't looking, you know, when I didn't care. And then later on, I was like, I should have looked closely because that looks really cool. And I saw him on eBay and I was like, you know what, I'm going to get him because Little Strident would love to have something like that to fight Leonidas, or, you know, even some of his other bad guys, or I mean his other good guys, because he had a lot of knights. So yeah, this is the gist of the figures that, you know, are at your disposal in Imaginext. I mean, there's a couple new lines that have popped up since I did this video. There's new lines popping up all the time. So at last we come to the bottom line. The bottom line is, if you want, number one, if you're a collector that likes a vast degree of different things, this is a line you want to pay attention to. A lot of these figures are easy to find. There's a lot of things from all kinds of different collections, different franchises that fall into Imaginext. Lots of TV, movie references, lots of stuff that somehow make their way into this line. And it's a fun line, and they're quality figures. They're well done. Now, I'm in this video, like I told you before, I'm only talking about the figures right now. But there is so much more, you know, interconnectivity with the Imaginext line and their vehicles. Sometimes vehicles and oversized figures and monsters and blah, blah, blah. There's just so much out there. And if you go way back, Imaginext didn't even look like this. They were smaller than this. They were kind of cheaply done. They almost looked like early 3D printed figurines. You know, they'd be like two colors. The chest would be white, the body and legs would be like burgundy or something, because that was the color of the plastic. So they've come a long way. But, I mean, just think about it. You have a line for kids where the figures are tiny, and there's a Superman in there, and a Batman and a Wonder Woman. And I guarantee you when Dawn of Justice comes out, there'll be more of that stuff too. It's just, you know, such a versatile line. And like I said, if you're into almost anything, it's going to find its way in here. Or it might have already found its way into Imaginext. So you can't go wrong. The other thing is the price point, you know, value in general. You get a lot for a reasonable price. Even on the aftermarket, if you pay attention, you'll see that the prices don't go above a certain point. There are stupid sellers that always oversell everything and overprice everything, but most of the Imaginext stuff is reasonably priced, and it stays around the same price from seller to seller. A lot of times people undersell this stuff because, I don't know, maybe because it's kid stuff, it doesn't hold, people don't think it holds the value that it does, but there's so much out there, you just can't go wrong. So get these guys if you can. Just jump in where you can fit in, you know what I mean? So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm Strident, you guys have been great. Part 2 will be on the way, and I will be going over all kinds of vehicles and stuff, just showing you all the awesome that's out there in the world of Imaginext. So, yeah, that's it for me. You've been great once again. This, of course, is my story, and I'm sticking to it, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace outside.